welcome to Tech Capture. So in this video we are going to discuss about ASG in AWS, that is Auto Scaling Group in AWS. So before going to ASG, let me just explain you a simple scenario why we need a ASG. So let's assume you are having one web application and a lot of users are accessing your web application which is installed or deployed on your EC2 instance. So your EC2 instance is in single availability zone. You can assume it is in AZA. Okay, so it can be any region. So I just mentioned that availability is zone A, and if it is working fine, so your users are able to access your application, there is no issue, everything is working fine. But suppose by any chance your application is crashed or your EC2 instance is crashed or there is a outage in your zone A, then what will happen? User will not able to access your application and your application will be completely down. So in production you cannot afford to make a downtime for your application. So in this case we should use a ASG. So now let's see how ASG will work in this case. So take another case now. So you are having say web application, you are having user who accessing your application. Now this time you deployed your application in a ASG and user are accessing your application through load balancer. So what load balancer will do? So your load balancer will have a single IP. Your user will access your web application through that IP or any domain name, and your load balancer will route traffic to any of the healthy instance. So will route traffic to zone A, it will route traffic to zone B, or it will route traffic to zone C. So by any chance, suppose my zone A goes down or my EC2 instance in zone A goes down, so there will not be any impact on my application because my traffic will be routed to healthy instance in zone B. And in case there is a high load on the systems and a lot of users are now accessing your application is famous and a lot of users are accessing your application now, and CPU utilization is going high or any of the system resources are insufficient, then it will scale your resources as per your need. So it can just scale based on your requirement. You can manually just scale up or scale down, and you also have a dynamic scaling in ASG. So this is how we can use ASG. Now this was the simple explanation about ASG. Now let's go to ASG now, which is in AWS, and see a basic concept about ASG. What are the different features of ASG? So let me go to the ASG now. So ASG is auto scaling group in AWS. So you can see ASG is like a team of a server or EC2 instance that automatically adjusts its size based on your need. So it means size of the server, the size of the teams. So suppose currently there are 2 EC2 instances, but your application is growing. There is a high load, it will just go to 3, it will just go to 4 based on your scaling requirement and your configuration. So there are some key points in simple language, I would say. So it will automatically add or remove server. So just say one example, if you are having a e-commerce application and there is a year-end sale, so over the year-end sale there will be high traffic on your website. So in this case it will just scale up your instances, it will just grow your instances from 2 to 4, 4 to 8, whatever your requirement. Once the sale ends there will be low traffic, so it will automatically scale down your resources. So as it mentioned, if your app gets busy, high traffic, SG add more servers to handle the load. When traffic is low, SG remove extra servers to save your cost. It also work on the health check. Now suppose your EC2 instance is running, but there is some issue in your application and your application is not working, which is installed on your EC2 instance. So it will check the health of your application as well on specific port. Even though my EC2 instance is healthy, but my application is not running, it will just keep eye on your server and your application. So if server crashes or becomes unhealthy, it replaces it with a new one. Okay, and you can have scaling policies, you can have schedule scaling. So suppose if you want to add a more server in your daytime and if you want to reduce the server in your night time, you can do that using the schedule scaling. You also have a dynamic scaling. So suppose based on the load, if you want to add more resources, you can add more EC2 instances. If there is traffic goes down, it will automatically just scale down the instances. So that dynamic scaling policy also you can add. And also you can put a load balancer, because each EC2 instance will have a separate IP addresses, and in order to user to access it with a single IP, you need to attach a load balancer, and you can integrate load balancer with ASG without any issue. Okay, so this was the theoretical part of the ASG. Now what I will do, I'll just go to my cloud console. I'll just deploy a simple web application on my ASG through the user data script, and I'll show you how it works. I'll just terminate one of the node. I'll just make one of the node unhealthy. I'll just make one node to crash, and then we'll see how we can check our users are impacted or our application is impacted. Okay, so it's time for demo. So let me go to the cloud console now. In my cloud console, so let me just open EC2 and go to EC2 homepage, and here at the bottom you will see auto scaling group. So let me click here. So before creating auto scaling group, you need a launch template. Okay, so if I go and try to create a auto scaling group, so it will ask for a launch template. So currently I do not have any launch template. So let me just explain you what is a launch template. So I don't think there is a separate video needed for explaining what is a launch template. So just take a simple example. Whenever you have to create your CV or resume, you will not create a blank Word document and start writing from the scratch. You will just take a template, or you will just ask your friend, share me your resume, and then you will update your name, your profile, your job description into that resume. But you will use existing template because that will be easier task to do rather than creating from the scratch. So similarly here, whenever you try to create EC2 instance, you have to give your machine type, you have to give your security group, your network, your OS or AMI which you will be using. So in case you have to create 5 virtual machines or EC2 instance or 10 EC2 instances, in that case creating individual EC2 instances will be difficult because every time you have to go to EC2 instance, launch instance, then update all the fields and then create. So it is time consuming. So instead we can use a launch template. So it is predefined template with the predefined configuration. So that we can use to create our ASG. So here I'll just give the name as app ASG for my auto scaling group, and for launch template I'll create a new launch template here which will have a default configuration and also deploy our simple web application so we can access it on the public IP. So I'll just give the name as app template. Okay, and description I'll just give web app. So here OS image I will use our default image and machine type as T2 micro. Okay, so I'll go to quick start. I'll choose AMI here, and for instance type I'll go with a T2 micro which is a free tier eligible, and keep here I don't need, so I'll keep don't include. Security group, I'll create a new security group and I'll just give the name as app security group. Okay, so I also need to, okay, description I'll allow HTTP here, so I'll just add one rule here to allow traffic on HTTP port because we'll be using this for deploying our web application. So I'll just allow traffic from port 80 on port 80. Okay, so additional configuration, let's see. In advance I need a user data. So we already seen in previous videos what is user data, how we can use user data to automate our configurations. So here I'll be creating a simple web application which will deploy whenever my instance is rebooted or whenever my instance is getting launched. Okay, so this is my simple script. I'll share the script with you, don't worry. Okay, and this will just deploy a simple web application for me using the Apache 2 or HTTP service. Now I can create a launch template. So once my launch template is created, I'll just refresh here and I will use this launch template to create my ASG. So let me go here. Let's wait for a couple of seconds here. Okay, so my launch template is created. Let me go here. Let me refresh and let me just select app template now. Okay, so it just fetched the details which we created, web app template. Okay, instance type T2 micro. Now I'll go on next. So network I will choose a default availability zone, I'll go with A and B, so it will create two instances or whatever the desired instance number will give. So just check here, balanced best effort and balanced only. So what will happen if your launches fail in one of the zone, it will just create. So suppose I want to create two EC2 instances, okay, and if EC2 instance in zone A creates successfully and in zone B it is failing, then second it will try to create in healthy zone, that is in zone A. So if any issue in zone B, then it will create both the instances in my zone A. But if we keep balance only, then it will keep trying in zone B to maintain the balance capacity. I'll go with the best effort, so I just need two instances. If zone B is having issue, it will create two in zone A. Okay. So here I will need a load balancer, because we already seen in our, if there are three instances, then user will access your application using the load balancer. So I'll attach a new load balancer. Definitely will need application load balancer with HTTP traffic, and I need internet facing. Okay, so we have zone A, zone B, port 80. I don't need VPC lattice service. Rest of the default configuration I will use, and I will go with the next. Something is missing. Okay, select target group, so I'll create new target group. Okay, name I will just give app ASG hyphen tj, that is my target group. So target group is nothing but where your load balancer backend should point. So suppose if you are load balancer, then where it will redirect your traffic. Now already we are creating it is a part of ASG, so it will create a new backend or target group using the ASG, and it will just give the name as app ASG target group or TG. Okay, now let me just go to next. Now the important thing, we are again missing something. One or more required field are missing information or have invalid value. I think we are good now. Okay. Okay, now this is the important. So desired capacity, minimum capacity and maximum capacity. Now auto scaling group is, as we already spoke on, what is auto scaling group? So it is just team of the EC2 instances or team of the server. So how many EC2 instances we want? So suppose I want two in both zone. Okay, minimum I'll keep one, so at least I need a one. Desired max capacity, suppose I'll choose 3, so I can, in case there is any load and I have dynamic scaling policy, then it will just go till the 3, and after 3 it will not auto scale. Okay, so your minimum capacity should be less or equal than your desired capacity. So desired capacity, it means at the time of ASG creation it will create 2 EC2 instances, and max it can create 3, and minimum 1 is required. Okay, so currently I will not use any scaling policy, dynamic scaling policy. So I will create scaling policy in my another video. I will show you demo how it will auto scale. So I will not attach any maintenance policy as well here, so I will go with the default. Click next, 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 and it will create. So launch template already used, so this is my launch template. This is your instance launch option, so it is in VPC, default VPC, zone A, zone B, balance best effort, and we have load balancer. Okay, we have health check, all these things are there. We have desired capacity 2, max 3, minimum 1, and now I'll go and create auto scaling. So it will take a few minutes to create auto scaling group, because it will create your two EC2 instances as well as it will create a load balancer. Once your EC2 instances are healthy state and you can see application on port 80, then your load balancer will be available for use. Okay, so let's see, it is, the creation is in progress, so let's wait for a couple of minutes. Now I'll just show you in between if any activities are happening here. So if I go to ASG, I'll go to instance management. Currently you can see both are in healthy status. Two EC2 instances are in healthy, one is in zone A, one is in zone B. So in case zone A goes down, you can still access your application in zone B. So I'll show you that with the demo. So let's check our load balancer. Let me go to the load balancer. Let me open a new tab. Let me go to the load balancer. So it should be currently in provisioning state. Yeah, as I see, it is in provisioning state. So it is having this target group. So let's wait for this load balancer to be in available state, and then we'll check our application is running fine or not. Okay, now we can see load balancer is in active state. Okay, and we can access our load balancer on this URL, that is a DNS, you can say. Let me go here and let me just execute it. And now you can see our application is deployed, and welcome to tech capture, and this is response from this compute engine or EC2 instance. So let me show you what our application is doing. So what I am doing in my application, so just pay attention to this line number 49. So I am just printing the IP address of the instance from where we are getting the response. Now I'll show you the main purpose of auto scaling group. So we have two EC2 instances now at the back end of our ASG. We'll go to instance management. So you will see these two instances. Let me check if I have option here for IP. No, I do not have. Okay, so let me just go to EC2 page, and I'll open the EC2 instances here. Okay, so we have, now let's pay attention to these two public IP. Okay, so we have these two EC2 instances which are part of our ASG. Now whatever the response we are getting from load balancer, now let's see this response. It is getting from 172.31. Let me reload. So this is displaying your private IP. My bad. So let me just go inside my EC2 instance. So this is private IP. Okay, so one response is from 124, and let me just open new tab. So your one instance is having IP 124, and another instance should be having a different IP. So let me just open another instance. So I'll just open the second instance now. So let me check only our running instances. Okay, and now I'll open the second. So this is having 162, and this is having 124. So now let's check. So currently I'm getting response from 162. If I reload, I'm still getting from 162. Now I got response from 124. Okay, so let's just keep reloading, and let's see from where we are getting the response. Still 124. So it will respond us from the healthy instance. Now from 162, so now 124. So it is just load balancing between two instances. So always your application will be up and running. Now what I will do, I'll just crash one server. I'll just stop this 162. So I should only get response from 124. Okay, so now let me just stop or just terminate 162. So as soon as I terminate this one, it will become unhealthy and it will create a new instance. Okay, so if I go to auto scaling group, I'll just open this and I'll go to instance management. So now you can see two are healthy because it immediately created the new one, but now you will see currently response is from 162. Okay, let's reload it. There might be just slight glitch, but till the time it will just send response from one IP instead of both the IPs now, because one instance we just terminated, so in the time it is creating new instance. Now it is 124. Okay, let's reload and check the response. You can see it is still from 124. Let's reload. still from 124, because that 162 IP instance we deleted, but your auto scaling group immediately created a new instance because our desired capacity is always 2. Now what I will do, I'll just edit my desired capacity, okay, and I'll just make it 1. Okay, you can see here now. So this is terminating. I didn't do anything. So the earlier instance we were terminated, which is unhealthy, but it created the new instance immediately to maintain our desired capacity. Now you will get response from two different IPs. Okay, so now this is 124. Now let's see the new IP. So it will take some time to install your application at the backend. Till the time you will get response from only one server, still from 124. Let's reload again. Now you got new IP. Okay, now you got 145. So now you will get response from 124, 145. It is just balancing between both the your EC2 instances. Now what I will do, I'll just decrease my desired capacity. Okay, so I'll go here and I'll make my desired capacity as a 1. So at a time only one instance will be running, and in that case I will get response only from one IP. Now let's just monitor the activity here. So there will be one more instance get terminated now. Now you can see one more instance is terminating, only one will be in service. So let's just wait for that instance to get terminated and become unhealthy, then we'll get response only from one server. Okay, it is still terminating and showing healthy, but let's try. Okay, so now only this instance is only in service. Let's check the IP address of this instance and we should get response only from this available instance now. So I'll just check the IP of the server and we should get response only from that server now. Okay, so this is having IP 172.31.4.145. I'll just remember this last 145, and now we are getting response from this one. If I reload also, I will get a response only from this IP. Just keep reloading. Okay, I got response from the same IP. I'll just reload again and I'm getting response only from the same IP, even though I just copy it. Okay, and just put again in the another tab and see. So you will get response only from this IP because only one EC2 instance is running now to make our desired capacity fulfilling. Okay, so let's refresh here. Now you can see your desired capacity 1, scaling limits 1 to 3, minimum is 1, maximum is 3. It is still updating capacity because your instances are still not terminated completely. So you can see it's still showing terminating, but this only in one service, and our response will be only from one EC2 instance. So hope you understood now how auto scaling group work and when we should use ASG. So we'll see some more feature about auto scaling group in our further videos. Okay, so for this video that's it, and we'll see you again in our next video.